Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let me know if you still need help. Share post now. Just to let you know what Paulie and Scott are doing, they're sharing this feed on their pages. It takes a few minutes, so sorry, just bear with us here. Okay, it's just
looks good.
Good?
Okay.
All right, so if you're new to the Sex and Suicide podcast page, Sundays we do, it's called a Soul Fire Sunday, where we talk about mental health. It's just three guys on a couch chatting away. If your Facebook Live feed fucks up, we always do a backup on iTunes as well as Spreaker, and we also have the backup video, which is fully edited on our YouTube channel. So feel free to, if you have any problems while you're viewing, you gotta turn your volume off, dude.
Sorry.
It's okay. If you have any problems while you're viewing, you can always catch us on the other platforms, whether it's YouTube or iTunes if you like audio, or Spreaker, or whatever else. I've got to give a shout out to my boy Alan, who's helping us with the podcast and the renovations. So this week, the lights might look a little different. We've got some new lighting here.
You look brighter.
So do you.
Thanks, bud.
It looks good. I like it in here. And thanks to you guys for bringing your shirts. I'm just tired as hell and just wore my regular shirt.
I wanted to feel a little spring in my step today.
You got your flippy flops on? Or?
I had flip-flops on, yeah.
You did.
I was just sick. I'm sick of winter.
You can tell with the weather right now. We're based out of London, Ontario. Right now the weather's at, what is it, 9 degrees out there?
It's 11 degrees today.
11 degrees, and we're in Canada, so it's Celsius. So for our American viewers, that's what, like 60-something degrees, I think.
I believe it.
So, something like that. But it's nice for us because we've had a really long winter here. I just stopped shoveling this week because I got sick of the snow. I figured if I stopped shoveling, it would stop coming. Shittiest landlord in the history. I'm not going to win an award downstairs with the guy that rents for being the best landlord, that's for sure. But
I almost slipped coming in, jerk.
oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry, man. I forgot about you. I should have actually got out and been a good guy and done that for you.
At least Paulie was there.
Yeah.
How was your week, guys? Thanks for wearing your Sex and Suicide shirts. And I guess, you know, we'll just kind of tell you guys what we've been up to. For the people that are new to the Sex and Suicide podcast, we started a 15-week program of cognitive behavioral therapy, which is basically working on beating our anxiety, our depression, and just life skills and coping with stress. And we thought we'd share that with you. We have 2 more weeks to go to finish the program. Again, you can catch the previous podcast where we talk about anxiety and depression and work through different ways to kind of cope with that. And you can find those on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook page if you want to watch the previous live videos. We've done up to 13 weeks. We still have 14 and 15 to go. Tonight we're just going to do sort of a catch-up on the program and with each other and just kind of check in. It's been a few weeks here, and we want to continue every Sunday, hopefully until we get the studio renovated behind us. But for now, we're going to use the old platform, which is this, and the couch, the famous couch. This couch is getting lots of attention. Have you noticed that? So you guys were talking about, we got another article written in London Fuse, I think it was.
I think that's what it's called, yeah.
And how did you guys find the article? It was written by Angela. She did a good job, eh?
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, and that was, so now, it's funny how things work because this podcast has actually been covered by Huffington Post was the first one that picked it up.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, and then Fanshawe College, which is in here our hometown of London, Ontario, and now Western University of Western Ontario. So it's funny because we wanted to originally kind of branch out to students who are kind of suffering, right? And be their support system. And then Huffington Post starts it, and then it goes to the students, which is still great. It's awesome. But it's funny how the social media thing kind of works now. But how was your week, guys? Tell me about your week. Obviously a better day. We're all kind of in better spirits.
Better spirits.
The sun always...
My week has been stressful, I'm not going to lie.
Really?
Yeah, it's been really stressful. I'm moving.
You're moving?
Yeah, it doesn't mean I'm done with the podcast, but I'm moving to the beach.
You are?
Nice.
I'm moving to Goddard in 2 weeks from Friday.
And that's, what prompted that decision?
Life. Yeah.
Life?
Life,
Love?
good. Love and life.
Love.
It's not the greatest situation, but it is a situation that I've been thinking about leaving London for a while now, and I'm grateful that I was here for my recovery, and it's done a lot for me, and I love London. I think that I'm at a place in my life now where I need to get going on with life and set some roots down, and that's not going to be in my 1-bedroom apartment.
Okay.
So I'm going to be moving to Goddard.
Which isn't too far from here anyway.
No, it's only like an hour and 10 minutes.
Right.
So it's the beach life, right? So I'll be able to go to the beach every day and live the life that way. So I got a few job opportunities with the YMCA, and then doing some stuff with a boys group home that are guys that are struggling, youth up to the age of 18 that are struggling with mental health or addiction or
That's awesome.
just life skills and stuff. So I'm
Good
going
for
to
you,
do a little
man.
bit of work there. And it's kind of
Making a difference.
and not that I'm not making a difference here, but I feel like as much as I travel around, I notice that these little smaller towns have dick all.
Right.
They have nothing, you know. And not that I'm the Messiah, but I hope that I can be, plug myself into that community, and people can know that there's someone in that community that cares.
How do you think that's going to affect you though in the winter? Because that's going to also have the same effect,
Oh
right?
yeah, it's gonna be an adjustment. I lived in every major city in Canada,
Right.
and now I'm moving to a town of 9,000 people.
Yeah.
Living on public transit,
Yeah.
So I've lived in like every other Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton,
No kidding.
Hamilton, London, Toronto,
Wow.
and now Goderich.
I'm glad you stayed here for a bit. So we can
I'm still gonna come back every Sunday night to do these things because I think I need to still be plugged into, this scene, and I'm committed to doing this. I think what we've done is,
We want you here.
been way bigger than what we ever thought it was. Right? I think this is blown up, and that's not the only reason I'm staying. I think that we've all made a commitment to mental health too. We've made the commitment to smash this stigma.
Yeah,
and just because I'm going to live away doesn't mean that I'm done that fight.
Yeah.
So it's stressful. I definitely cried a lot this week. I can't lie to you because I'm packing up my stuff in this place that it might not be a big deal to people, but this is the first place that I've ever lived in on my own where I've been
sober too, right?
Sober.
Yeah.
Been able to pay rent.
That's huge.
It's massive.
Yeah.
I live in my car,
Yeah, absolutely.
I was able to pay my rent and live in a place for more than 6 months. I am a year over my lease, which is unheard of for me, right?
Right. Yeah.
No way. No, didn't pay rent for the last 6 months. Got a deed. I've done that before. And it sucks kind of packing up my stuff. It leaves me. I've had a great time in London. I really have, and I've met some incredible people. I've met some real shitty people, but I think
that's everywhere.
There's shitty people in Goderich too, So it's bittersweet. It's I took down all my art off my wall today, so now it's all bare, and
it's a weird feeling.
I want to go put it back up, just for 2 weeks, but I gotta pack. I have to pack, but I'm hello. The art kind of dulls the echo, right?
Yeah.
So I did a little bit last night, and I got kind of upset, and I just thought I'll leave it on the walls for tonight, and
deal with it one step at a time.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's one step at a time. So I'm stressed, but man.
It's good.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to start a new chapter in my life.
Good for you, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
I think we're emotional people in general. I don't know, just because of what we've dealt with or whatever. So moving, just anything change and seeing stuff come down and boxing, it's difficult.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough. And I mean, it's putting shit in boxes.
Yeah.
It's putting shit that I've looked at every day for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Just in boxes.
It's you know what though, dude? It's a good time to kind of flush. During this change, you can kind of it's like a reset button again, right? You've accomplished a lot you've moved from your car to your apartment to living on your own and paying rent and being responsible and being sober. Yeah. And now you're in that next step of hey, this is the next step. And that's anxiety producing in itself.
But right? I remember praying for this.
Yeah.
I remember one time praying for a life that I could get out of London, because I was just I know a lot of people that live just down the street, on the street, in the parking lot. So when I go down and catch the bus and I see those people, it's not my compassion comes out. I'm I wish you guys could have found it just like I could.
Yeah.
And I hesitate to, they're begging for money, and I know that they're not going to get a cheeseburger. So it's tough for me to. I don't want to be an enabler, but I don't want to push them away. So
it's a tough spot, eh?
Hey, I'll buy a burger. Yeah. I'll buy a Coca-Cola, but I'm not going to give you cash.
Everyone struggles with that too, because I remember growing up and my mom and dad being well, they're just going to spend it on drugs, right?
And it's true. And
but you want to, when they hold a sign, when someone's outside holding a sign saying, I'm hungry, please help. Like, you can't help but empathize with that person and be like, man, if I was starving and I'm on my way to do something, I can't stop to like take you for food,
Right.
but like maybe on my way back I'll give you a Happy Meal or something. But
And usually those people aren't still there.
I know.
They've got
Yeah.
the cash, they're at the liquor depot, they're ready to rock.
yeah, I'm sure there are some that use it for food.
Oh, I'm sure there are.
You're
too,
probably
yeah.
right. That's the general
Yeah.
use.
I hate generalizing that, but I understand being on the street. You know?
Yeah, but you've been there, so you can talk from
Sucks, for
experience.
Sure, yeah.
So-
I can definitely say from experience that when I was looking for money, it was for drugs and booze.
Yeah.
It wasn't for food. Food was the last thing on my mind, right?
Right.
Someone had some scraps on the
Did
table.
you say it was for food though? Did
Oh,
you?
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Or a phone call or a bus ticket. Or,
Yeah.
You know, like when you're in active addiction, you'll do just about anything or say just about anything so you can get some cash. You know,
Right.
that's just the way it is. That you'll do.
How's your week, buddy? How's my recovering giant?
Shrinking.
Shrinking, right?
My one leg is shrinking rapidly.
Yeah, you showed us that. You showed us the difference between the legs before. You don't necessarily need to show
No.
the viewers, but
Chicken leg and
Yeah.
one must really.
Even your chicken leg is 2 of my legs.
Yeah. It's relative, I guess.
Yeah.
It's relative.
Yeah.
it looks like
Yeah.
it's healing well.
Yeah, it is actually. So I
Yeah.
can't complain. It's it's one of those things you focus on the negative, but
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, it's been
Yeah,
5
pretty good.
weeks, and like I think I'm ahead of schedule and got 60 degrees of motion, and
Yeah, good.
I've got my dancing shoes all ready to go. And
Nice. How you feeling otherwise?
not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. It was the start of the week was tough, I think, because the weather and it was crappy, and the weather changed like when it got cold and dipped there. Like,
Fuck, man.
it screwed me up.
Screwed me
And,
up
like,
too, dude. With the time change too in there,
Yeah,
and like
and I really feel it in my knees. Like,
Did you guys notice the time change?
Mhm.
I loved it. I personally, I was like, bring it on.
I enjoy. You did,
I
eh?
forgot, and I got in my car. I'm like,
What's that? That doesn't match my
Yeah,
phone.
I'm like,
Yeah.
am I late? Like, where am I going?
I know it affects a lot of people, you know, that time change, like for sure. But for me, I was like, yep.
This is the the good
yeah.
time change because you know that you're getting the additional sunlight,
Yeah,
right?
that's-
And
It's nice that
The
it's
first
not-
night,
yeah.
like that Sunday night, I looked outside, it was 7:30 and the sun was still up.
It's
Yeah.
so
And I was
nice.
like, I just won the Stanley Cup. Like, thank you, universe.
I know
Yeah.
it is. It is a
It's
nice.
so nice to feel.
Yeah.
This is a better like this time change. I find is better, but you do lose that hour, right? So it's it's playing catch up. And I mean, I remember because for those of you that don't know, we've kind of been on a hiatus. A lot of that was because in September I went back to school. Paulie went back to coaching. Scotty had some health stuff he had to deal with. So during that time, I got a weekend job. So I'm now bartending, and I was doing some social media managing as well as other tasks. So on the weekends, I'm at the bar and I'm bartending, and people think that's kind of fucked up because I'm the sober guy, like almost 2.5 years sober. Now I'm on the other side of the bar serving drinks. But you know that saying of like, your bartender is kind of your therapist in a way?
Yeah.
I get to see that, and people, now that I do the podcast, people come up and actually like, man, they'll tell me when they're drunk that they're struggling. And they'll say, we should probably go. I might never hear from them when they're sober,
Right.
mind you, but the fact that they come and talk
Yeah.
to me, I'm like, I know who
Like
to
we're
Open up a dialogue.
yeah, and I know who to look out for when they're at the bar, and it's like, and they know I'm coming from a good place. But that night, I remember it's all of a sudden like we're closed up, and usually we close around 3, but your phone says 4. By the time you go to bed, it's 5 in the morning. You're like, fuck. This is getting back this week on schedule was tough.
And the sun comes up.
Yeah, it's like 6 in the
Yeah.
morning. I'm like, you know what? When I go to bed at 6 in the morning, usually there's a fucking pile of blow that just finished on the table,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or used to be
Yeah.
over 3 years
Yeah.
ago. But now it's just like, man, I'm having all these like anxiety and past experiences of 6 in the morning and
It's like,
still.
where can I go now?
Yeah,
Get the
yeah,
party going.
yeah. And now you're just like, I gotta get to sleep. I gotta get to sleep.
Drive to Toronto to the after hours.
Yeah. So. But that being said, I mean, I'm exhausted today
Oh,
because
yeah.
St. Patty's Day was, we decorated Thursday night, and Friday night was working, yesterday decorated and working, so it's been on my feet a lot, and you can tell my voice
Your
is
voice is
going a
going,
little bit
yeah.
from trying to scream at people. But yeah, I'm glad we do this. I'm glad we get to sit at the couch. This kind of revives me, and I don't know, man. It's been an interesting week. We had that article. We also, the last podcast, we talked about how we wanted to go to both UWO and Fanshawe College to kind of just give people hugs because there was some suicides during reading week at UWO. What we have coming up this weekend, so anyone that's in London, Ontario, in the area, we have the there's the awareness, the fundraiser, and they're doing that. Remember the camp out where we were asked?
Oh, Austin Burlette.
Yeah.
It's at UWO.
Yeah. So there's actually
This
weekend coming up. So
It's
we've
like a
been,
barbecue thing, right?
and we've been asked to be a part of it. We don't really know. I'm working with some people to try to figure out what they want from
They're
us.
a great organization. I just know them through 2 years ago. I was nominated for Champion of Mental Health Award, and they won it.
Awesome.
And I was like right on. Like, you guys, you should have seen these like frat guys down in Vic Park, not drinking, just talking about mental health.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa.
Oh.
You know, it was incredible. And it's just, Austin Burlette, I never knew Austin, but his two parents run this thing every year, and they get...
And it's to raise awareness for
mental health
and suicide.
Yeah. They're incredible people. If you guys get a chance to meet the parents,
well, I think we will this weekend.
They're unbelievable.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I know they're doing the camp out at on UWO property.
It's not even a camp out anymore. It's just a cookout. Like, it's just an afternoon of things now.
Food?
I think they're still doing the sleepover. Yeah, I've been talking to this gentleman. I don't know if he wants to be identified or not, but
that'd be cool if they did like the camp out thing. I know they got kicked out of Vic Park, but that they're moving it to UWO.
Yeah, so it's going to be at UCC, and I don't know what our involvement's going to be at this point, but we'll definitely try to do like a live Facebook stream. And I think we'd also, like, at that time, what I've been told communicating with some of the students is, rather than us just show up there with big signs that say, free hugs or whatever we want to do, we should go down to the wellness center at the UCC, let them know we'd like to do this, and then just get permission kind of thing. Or else it's better. I'd rather just go in and make this a little bit more of a, not like an event per se, but something that they know that we're coming rather than, surprising them getting dragged off the property for trying to help.
Yeah.
So this week, we'll let everyone know that's in London, Ontario when we're doing that. Same thing for Fanshawe. We're sort of exploring UWO at this moment because they're doing the Austin Burlette, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Austin Burlette event at UCC, and then we'll do Fanshawe as well. They're just as equally important, but we're kind of trying to do, two things at once.
I think we have events during, like, in the first week of May there for Mental Health Awareness Week.
Okay.
I'm pretty
at
sure.
Fanshawe?
Yeah, but I'm not 100% sure on the contact there. I can get a hold of it for you, though.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. We'll figure that one out too. I'm going to try to figure all this stuff out this week, but we're going to try to become a little more active than just the podcast in the community, especially now that it's a little warmer out, right? Yeah. Fuck, man. Anyway.
I was excited about the hugs.
We're going to do them. We're not going to stop doing the hugs. The hugs are key. Hugs are great. That being said, let's get into some of the material. All right, and let's talk about how we've applied this. So week 14. We're going to actually do this next week. So we're going to go through, our next week is going to be talking about how to keep stress from becoming anxiety. And then week 15, our last and final week, is going to be getting beyond a growth spurt. So we're kind of like, this course, by the way, is a Lucinda Bassett course. It's called Attacking Anxiety and Depression. And you can go on the MidwestCenter.com. I'll attach the link like I always do. If you're curious in taking the actual program that we've gone through. And it's interesting because we've done 13 weeks. We took a massive break. So now we can actually talk about whether or not we've been using the tools. And so let's go through from week 1 to week 13 and just kind of talk about how we've used things. So in session 1, we talked about anxiety and depression, the symptoms, the causes, and the common fears. So what is anxiety and depression for you? Let's start with you, Paulie, and then we'll go to you, Scott. What is anxiety? What is depression? And what do you feel? And how do you kind of cope? What is your coping mechanism?
I think anxiety for me is the unknown certainty or the unknown fear of the future, and depression is guilting myself about the past.
Okay.
I think that's a big part of my depression is my past, and my past experiences.
And still living in it?
Still living in it, or still making decisions based on where I was in the past, and I think that's where my depression kind of leaks out. But I know my depression, once it manifests itself, it can get pretty bad.
Yeah.
And it's almost like I'm in this body, but I'm stuck in that 20-year-old kid who hates his life, who, just sexually abused, addicted to just about everything under the sun. I feel like that person, but I still am in this shell. And I, through this program, through my own therapy, and through educating myself, I've figured out a way to not snap out of it, but live with it.
Yeah.
You know, and
The baby steps?
And no, I'm not 20 years old. I'm 33 years old.
Yeah.
I live in London. I don't live in Delhi. You know.
So is that like a reality check, would you say?
Yeah, I think more so. It's that whole, like, name 5 things you can see. Name 4 things you can smell. Name 3 colors, the tooth, like that.
Just to bring you back?
To bring me back to reality. But then again, then anxiety, right? And I get worried about the future.
So you bounce back and forth a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
And what are we learning in this course that's the most important?
It's to stay balanced.
To stay balanced in the present.
I think that, being in the present, if we can figure out people who just stay in the present,
I know.
we need to hang on to them. They're the Messiah.
That's what enlightened, like, people that, study, meditate for years and years and years. Like, that's what an enlightened person is.
Being present.
It's just being present constantly. And that's what we all ultimately, like, that is, if you want if you're in pursuit of happiness, or not even happiness, just less suffering per se, that's what you're aiming for. But with our attention span and then technology, we're kind of doing the opposite to ourselves.
100%. I think it's very tough to have balance these days. We have so much pressure from society.
Yeah.
You gotta do this, you gotta go there, you gotta look cool, you gotta have this, you gotta have that.
And as soon as you get here, you'll be happy. Then it's like, as soon as you get this goal accomplished, you'll be happy. It's always about that next step.
Right.
But
instant gratification.
Instant gratification, of course.
There is no resilience in instant gratification.
No.
You know?
Well, I think people want to be, like, instant gratification, people want things now. Right? Like, whether it's information or whether it's sex or drugs or whatever. Right. But ultimately, people think that, well, success is here. Like, I'll go for the instant gratification in the meantime, but once I get here, I won't need it anymore, almost.
Well, what's success? Success is different for everyone.
Absolutely. But I think culturally, it's like money, nice things, whether you're in a marriage with, a good-looking person.
Success to me is like, I can lay my head down in a bed that I paid for.
Yes.
I
agree.
I can eat food.
Yes.
I can, like, walk outside without shackles on.
And this should be...
That's success.
This should be... I think that's enough. Like, I think that's what everybody should kind of strive for.
I think, and this may be my own view, we have to stop correlating money with success.
100%.
Because I grew up in a family that had a ton of money, and we were miserable fucking people.
Yeah.
Miserable fucking people.
Yeah.
So money and happiness, or money and success...
Yeah.
Doesn't equal
2 different things.
Yeah.
So
sunsets. That's happiness to me, or success, right? If I can watch a sunset, I'm like, how many people get this opportunity? Not everyone.
Or how many people get that opportunity and fucking ignore it?
Ignore it.
Yeah, for sure. Which is a problem as well. But we're getting a little off track. Oh, yeah. We know what anxiety and depression is to Paulie. What is anxiety and what is depression to you, Scott?
It's hard to separate the two. Like,
you don't have to if you don't want to, and I didn't used to be able to either. I thought they were kind of the same, and they were intertwined, and it can be in that sense. Now I separate them, but that's different for me. But I used to think that they were kind of like one led to the other.
Yeah, anxiety, like it overwhelms me, and then I get stuck.
Yeah.
And
does that make you depressed? The overwhelming feeling from anxiety put you in depression?
Yeah. And it comes on quick, like, and then I get stuck, and it's like just a whirlwind of thoughts in my brain going on, and I don't get anything done.
Yeah. Because you
think
of the big picture rather than breaking it down.
Yeah, and then, like, you have this to-do list, and then you sit there, and then, like, at the end of the day, you don't get anything done, and then that's where then I get pissed off at myself, and then I get depressed.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
I get that
what's
too.
wrong with me? Like, like, I didn't do anything today. Why not?
Well, it's easier to just kind of sit and distract yourself with, like, Netflix or whatever than it is to just do the things to get to the goals that you want to achieve. I understand that.
Right? Like the small accomplishments, and, like, reward yourself. And actually, I should have brought it. I had this, a friend of mine gave me a list of, like, 30 points. Like, and they're, like, positive affirmations or just positive things to do in your life. And, like, a lot of them were, like life skills and other things. And, like, one of them was, like, delete Facebook off your phone immediately.
Right.
And then, like, different life skills, and, like, having, like, when you wake up in the morning, like, a proper, I guess, routine, and then same with going to bed, and, like, all these, like, things, and they were really good, like, stuff that I think we forget.
Yeah.
At least I have, and it's just, good little things. I should have brought it. I'll bring it next week and maybe read them off.
Sure. Yep.
They're really good. But yeah, just the anxiety and depression almost like one and the same.
They
in
are,
a
right?
sense, right?
Yeah.
Like it's tough.
I agree with you with the overwhelm. For me, I kind of feel like the same thing. I'll have this to-do list, and then it'll seem, especially in the winter time, when it's just like there's so much shittiness outside.
Yeah, you just don't.
And you don't want to. Yeah, it makes it so much harder to go do some of those things.
Yeah.
But I get the feeling of overwhelm leading to depression, because I get that as well. But this year especially, I've noticed how just in sync the way that I feel, like whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, or just a general feeling of well-being, is it mirrors the fucking fluctuations in the weather like crazy.
That's
When there's a negative temperature outside and it's dark and it's miserable, I honestly find myself more like a cold-blooded fucking animal, and I like wanting to hibernate.
That could be seasonal affective disorder.
Well, it is, and I think
sure.
I am definitely seasonally affected. And and in all honesty, I haven't been using my sad light as much as I should be, which is a light that people should be using if they're seasonally affected. Sometimes you just...
I think a lot of people do, and they just don't know it, right? Like,
I think 100%, and I see, and I understand.
Increase your vitamin D intake huge, especially for like white people like us, right?
Yeah.
Or fair
people, yeah.
Yeah, I should have said that differently, but
That's all right.
I don't absorb sunlight well because I'm like,
pasty white.
Yeah.
It's all good, man.
Blonde and reddish
Sure.
and Icelandic.
And I'm the same way, but it doesn't mean I don't enjoy, like, even this year, I've had to do, like, I don't know if I've told the people on the podcast this, but you would notice that I had a redness to my face last year, and it's from rosacea, so I've been doing some laser treatments, but I haven't been able to go to the tanning beds or anything, and I do enjoy once in a while, probably more than once in a while, but going in a tanning bed for like a quick mini vacation, like feels like you're just relaxing at the beach, in the warmth. And I haven't been able to do that this year. Yeah. So even though I know how bad it can be in some people's views, I mean, just like anything, right? In moderation, maybe there's people that overdo it, and maybe I have at times as well. But regardless, I've noticed that that's played a huge role, and I've taken vitamin D supplements. Yeah. Maybe not as much as I should have, but I enjoy that, and it's something that helps me through winter. And now I can't. That taking that away too is just fucking. It was a brutal winter. Yeah. So I know I felt more overwhelmed this winter than I would have, say, if that to-do list that you're talking about is in the summertime. I feel like it's just okay. You can do things. You can walk out to your car and go. You don't have to put on your jacket. You don't have to shovel the walk. You know.
I was talking to somebody that was just down in Florida, and they were saying like just the weather in general, like it made her want to go outside and go for walks and do all that stuff, and it was huge. When I lived in California, it was the same thing. Like everybody seemed to like be outside and care more about their external, like how they looked and being fit, and or just taking care of themselves because it was nice out, right?
Yeah.
And like you're outside and you're not wearing as much clothing, right? Obviously, but I noticed that here as well. Like in the wintertime, like you get into that hibernation mode. You start eating like comfort food. And
I love
food.
that. For sure.
Put on the winter weight.
Exactly. That spare tire.
Hide in your room and watch TV and movies all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
No, and I think that at the end of the day, we go through this program and we talk about this stuff during the months when we're feeling good, and it's so much harder. I mean, there was weekends where we very easily probably could have done more podcasts, and it's just like, I'm guilty of it too, because I'm up till late, and then it's Sunday, I'm just like, fuck, man, I just want to lay and do nothing. But you got to kind of, even forcing yourself to talk about the way that you're feeling in that moment. It's like your to-do list. We know what we need to do to feel better, but in that moment, you just feel like you can't. It's like your ego or something is telling you that just to stay put and not to do it. Yeah. It's like, you don't need that. You don't need to do it. And so we know that to the people that are going through depression right now or dealing with constant panic attacks and anxiety, you might not want to talk about it. Even hearing us talk about it might not be something that you want right now. It's just like, it's easier to turn to the TV or to distract yourself, but it's not going to get anywhere.
Like just getting out and being like with people or just doing something like, like isolation is the worst, right? Because it just perpetuates even more isolation. But like to go out and have a coffee or like force yourself to go and have breakfast, with somebody or get out of bed and whatever. And it does, like,
the baby steps, I think,
it makes a huge difference for the rest of the day. Like, just being around somebody like, meeting with you guys on that Sunday night recharges me for the week and wants me to get going and do stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that at least we're helping each other, right? I mean, and I know that some of you have sent some messages, and I really appreciate them. I share as many as I can with these guys. I got a really nice one about a woman that lives in the mountains, and she said, she said, if nothing else, she said, just so that you guys know, I'm out when I'm out walking. Picture me in the mountains listening to you guys on the podcast.
Wow.
And I said, and you're helping me, and that's fucking awesome. Single mother, going to school, working really hard, and to get messages like that, I think are really cool.
It's awesome. That's why we do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and these are people that we never would have met otherwise. So I mean, Scott, we mentioned removing Facebook, but and I fucking there's it's like everything else, right? Too much of something is a bad thing. I agree with you, but we wouldn't be able to reach these people without Facebook, and also being a single dad from. Where my daughter lives 8 hours away, I have to kind of watch her grow up, and I'm so thankful that I get to see these pictures of what she's doing. But you can get caught scrolling on your phone and waste a ton of precious time, right? So just like anything else, too much of something is probably bad.
Yeah, probably is.
You gotta schedule it almost in that sense, like he was saying. Remove it off your phone, but go home and you answer emails, you do this, and you have that hour or 2 hour block.
Right. Yeah. Or maybe even not even scheduling, but limiting your time. Being like, okay, I've spent an hour today on here, enough.
Yeah.
And maybe this is something I'm bad with it too. I mean, I spend way too much time probably on social media rather than with the people. Even though we talk about being in the present moment. It's like, oh shit, I have to do this for the podcast page or whatever because you're thinking about the other people that could potentially need you.
Yeah.
Or maybe we want to feel needed. I don't even know if it's true. But back to anxiety and depression. So seasonally affected for me, for sure.
Yeah, for me too.
Yeah? Yeah. I think for you as well.
For sure.
But because we all seem to be, it's a beautiful day out there and we're happy and I noticed a difference in our mood from just 2 weeks ago.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And definitely we went through another little fucking winter slap in the face with the snow, and we didn't do a podcast last week. My fault mainly because I was in a funk. I think we were all kind of going through a little bit of something. But my anxiety, I find the symptoms for me are I get a shaky vision almost, and I'll start feeling that nervous feeling in the pit of my stomach, and that will make me get all worked up in my head. My thoughts will start racing. And then I'll get a fight or flight response and wanting to go to a safe place, right? Even though I know there's no safe place, it's probably better to be around people if you are, or you think you're dying, right? At the time when your heart's popping in your chest. And, luckily, the more that I've been able to talk about this and work through this program, anxiety has not been a big issue for me. I'll wake up sometimes in the morning with a little bit of anxiety about some of the stuff you have to do during the day. Sometimes I won't do it. Sometimes I'll go back to bed if I'm not feeling it. But, the depression I definitely still deal with. That's the tough part. I'm just not feeling yourself. And I notice, you'll notice if I'm not making sexual jokes. I think I brought this up to you guys before. But, at the bar, for example, when I'm bartending and shit like that, yesterday, was it yesterday? I think it was, yesterday. I spent a good 2 hours talking about hand jobs with the staff. and it was just something we were talking about. We got in conversation. It made me laugh. It made me smile. And if I'm starting to do that, I can feel wow, I'm actually kind of feeling more like me. Yeah. And I know some people might think that's kind of sick and twisted, but hey, I'm fully willing to admit I'm sick and twisted. Yeah. So yeah. So anyway, now that I'm back to the sex jokes, I'm starting to feel a little better again. I know that I'm coming out. In the wintertime, I don't make as many of those.
My sarcasm and my fun, jokey side comes out.
Yeah, a little more when you're less depressed, right? So that's kind of what the depression and anxiety are to us. Let's talk about a big one here. We went through on session 2 6 steps designed to put an end to panic attacks. Now, I'll read through those steps because we probably all forget them. But this might help people because I did have a conversation with a friend who's dealing with crippling panic attacks right now. So I hope she's watching. There are the 6 steps that Lucinda Bassett uses to deal with an anxiety attack. The first step is acceptance. So recognize that you are feeling anxious. Accept your body feelings as a symptom of your anxiety and a sign that something is bothering you. Do you remember this stuff?
Oh, yeah.
And then the second step is to give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to feel anxious about whatever it is that is bothering you. Say, of course I feel anxious because, and it's okay to have anxiety. So like, if you're feeling anxious, for example, when I get up in the morning and I have to go get one of those laser treatments on my face, like of course I'm feeling a little anxiety. I know that it's not fun feeling like there's a rubber band being slapped against your fucking face every 2 seconds. But it's okay, and allow yourself to feel that. I know why this is and why I feel this way. Step number 3, big one we promote on here a lot, is to breathe. So first, inhale through your nose slowly for 2 seconds, mentally counting 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. Then exhale through your mouth to a mental count of 4 seconds again by 1,000s. Do this for at least 60 seconds. So this is kind of the relaxation technique too, It's just focusing on your breathing. A lot of Buddhist talk is about breathing, and meditation is about breathing. Yoga is about breathing. So anytime you're feeling anxious, focus on your breathing and try to slow it down. Try to slow things down in general, I think, because anxiety really speeds things up.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah, especially in your
Your
head.
heart rate start to raise.
Yeah.
I notice I'll hold my breath.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God.
But if you catch yourself doing that, as long as you start slowing your breath down again, it slows everything down.
Yeah.
So the breathing is a big one.
Bringing you back to that moment, right?
Yeah, and it takes you away from your thoughts. If you're focusing on breathing and counting your breathing, it kind of pulls you away from everything else. Even if you have to close your eyes wherever you are.
Yeah.
Or go to the washroom or whatever.
Just not driving.
Yeah, just stop driving. I mean, just pull over before you do any of this if you're driving or operating an aircraft, I guess, which was my case. 4 is the inner dialogue. So use truthful, positive dialogue to talk to yourself through the anxious time. It will pass. Examples of dialogue might be, it's just anxiety, it will go away. I will not lose control. I can still go about my business feeling spaced out. It won't hurt me. That's a good one too. I mean, your inner dialogue. When I get anxiety attacks in the past, I remember telling myself, like, what's going on? I've got to get to a hospital. I'm dying. Like, I'm having a heart attack. I have brain cancer. Like, my mind would go through all of this in the span of like 5 seconds. And then before you know it, you're sweating and you feel like you're going to throw up and you're running out of the room.
I am having a heart attack.
Yeah.
My arm.
Yeah. And it's interesting though, because I'm glad I went through all the anxiety and the panic attacks, because when I'm watching someone else and I see their breathing start to get really like shallow and kind of steep, you can kind of see like this person might be suffering from anxiety. And then I'll kind of try to get calmer and like more relaxing so that their energy, they can feel that energy and hopefully help to slow themselves down too. I think the worst thing to do is to get 2 people in the same room having a conversation that both have anxiety disorder and aren't telling anyone about it. And they're both having an attack, and it's just, one's encouraging the other. Number 5, we talk about good distractions. So number 5 is to distract yourself. Get busy. Do something to release some of this self-induced stimulation, because we know that as you're going through this, you're releasing adrenaline and cortisol and stress hormones. So you have to do something to burn that off. So your body is like a car in high gear with the brakes on. Don't just sit there, walk, jog, clean closets, but do something. Distract yourself from the way you are feeling. That's what you do, Paul. You go for walks, right?
I walk a ton.
Yeah.
You'd think my legs would be bigger.
They're not Scott size yet. We'll work on that, eh?
Maybe walk and walk.
Protein shakes instead of rock stars, eh?
Yeah.
But when we say distract yourself, we want good distractions. I'm not encouraging everyone to come see me at the bar so I can pour them 20 shots, or to go into the washroom and do a bunch of blow. That's not going to help your anxiety. Trust me, I know from experience.
It might make your heart
go up
a little bit.
It does not help. Number 6 is let time pass. So try to see a little humor in the way that you feel. You may feel weird, but you don't look weird. Give yourself permission to feel weird for a little while. It's no big deal. Try to figure out what's really bothering you. Is it some type of conflict that you don't want to deal with? Is it a scary thought? Is it a ridiculous expectation you have about yourself? How about the television program you watched last night? Okay, that's a spelling mistake. Is it about the television program you watched last night? What is bothering you? And that can very much be true. I know people say that movies and TV shows and things like that don't affect you, but they're pretty real. These, like, if you're,
media can be such a
I think that we, absolutely, and you got to be careful what you're feeding your subconscious mind, because we're not necessarily in control of that 24/7, right? I mean, I know that like I can watch a movie that's fairly realistic about, say, terrorism or something, right? And that can trigger like
bad dreams.
that can trigger some bad dreams or thoughts of like, even just being paranoid about things. And I think that you just have to kind of be careful about what you feed yourself, not just in here, but in here as well. And I'm pointing to my stomach and to my mind for those that listen. I always sometimes forget that we're audio too, right?
Was that when I was in the hospital and like talking about anxiety and stuff?
Yeah, you've been the most recent to this, probably.
Yeah, so here's someone that suffers from anxiety and just ruptured my quad tendon off, and I'm in the hospital, and then so my heart rate was up, my blood pressure was up, and right away because of my size and my age, they started feeding me information and saying, well, guys that are bodybuilders in their 40s, a lot of them are dying of heart attacks.
They said that to you?
Yep.
Wow.
And then they said
before surgery?
Yep.
Oh my God.
And then they're like, we really need you to see a cardiologist in here because your heart rate's really high and your blood pressure. It wasn't that high. I'm like, I just ruptured, I ripped my quad off.
Right.
I'm in a lot of pain. I think that's kind of normal.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to stay, right? And they were forcing me to. And then I went home that night. And before I went home, a cardiologist came down, and then the nurse, and they basically said, they're like, well, we really want you to stay and do stay overnight, hook you up, ECG and all that kind of stuff, and we're worried about you, but because you're going home, it's not our fault if you have a heart attack in the next few days.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
So that first week when I was at home, I was in excruciating amount of pain. They planted that seed in my head.
Yeah, that'd be full of
I
anxiety.
didn't sleep,
Yeah,
man, for
I
4
bet.
nights.
Well,
One
you're
because
so
of the
fearful.
pain.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And I kept thinking, because, I was in the hospital, I'm sweating, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, you're sweating a lot. Is your chest hurting? Do you have pain in your arm? I'm like, no. I sweat all the time.
Yeah.
Leave me alone, right? And then just
I can
what
see
they
how
said
that
to me
would
was
plan anxiety.
brutal.
Oh yeah, how do you sleep? How do you do anything? Or
And
you feel something, you're like, oh, I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah, I thought my hands are starting to go down numb at night, and trying to go to sleep, and then I was afraid.
Yeah.
for
One
sure.
finger on the 911 on your
Oh,
phone.
it was a bad week. That was
That's
bad.
too bad, dude. I think I know they're trying to just cover their bases, but there's got to be fuck, man. And I know that doctors and physicians and nurses, they see so many people. Sometimes it's hard to be, to be caring and sensitive in the way you deliver your information.
Yeah, they were not.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I mean, it's kind of hard. I get it, but fuck, it's kind of like you have to. Speaking about reality checks and checking in, you almost have to do that before you see every person,
Right.
and think about how to sensitively deliver this information to someone that might be
For sure.
dealing with some mental health stuff.
Yeah,
You
it
know?
was just bedside manner.
Yeah. Well, it is.
Doctors
Yeah.
and nurses and stuff like that.
Who says that? What kind of doctor says that? Oh, if you
It
go
was-
home, you're gonna
I
die
think.
of a
Well, they
heart
got to
attack.
cover. There's so many lawsuits and things coming
Right.
in, and we're
It
both
was not. Yeah.
sons of physicians, but we know that there's got to be a better way to deliver that kind of information. And this is honestly a problem coming up that I've talked to my dad about. Is that because of how tough med school is now.
Yeah.
The people that are kind of getting in are brilliant from an academic standpoint, right?
But
the communication is not So delivering news like that, they're not going to have that human component, and they're going to be brilliant on scoring and whatever else. But who knows? I mean, when it comes to the actual application,
Yeah.
I
That's
guess
part of
we'll
what
see.
my dad was developing with all his programs and stuff.
Really, it was a more compassionate way to.
Yeah, just bedside manner and just communication and all that kind
I
of
think
stuff.
it's important, and I think it's definitely needed.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to week 4. Expectations, because we've talked a little bit about this. I still have trouble with expectations. How to expect less and get more. So we talked about having realistic expectations or even no expectations at all about going into things like whether it's a social event and a party. Yeah, go ahead, buddy. Or whether it's even a date and what you expect from it, right? Expectations can get you into trouble because you can end up being disappointed. But if you're
I think
realistic,
expectations are predetermined resentments.
you think so, eh?
100%. We're never going to meet some people's expectations because they're unrealistic, right? I have unrealistic expectations myself.
Yeah,
You know?
I do too.
And if I let those go, if I don't let them go, then I've already created a resentment down the road for when I don't meet that expectation and be pissed.
Yeah.
And same thing with other people, right? I think especially when people have expectations on anything and we don't meet that, that then we start to beat ourselves up.
Yeah.
We resent, or we have a resentment. I heard that one time that it's a predetermined resentment, is having an expectation. And it's hard to live not having an expectation, right? You expect when you put your garbage out that the garbage man is going to come take it.
Right.
If he doesn't, you're going to be pissed,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
But you have that expectation, and 9 times out of 10, your garbage is going to get picked up.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
I think having unrealistic expectations about our anxiety, we need to take it a little bit easier on ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, we're human.
Yeah.
We're not machines, and it takes as long as it takes.
Day by day.
There's no timeline. It's not a race. It's at our own pace, right?
Yeah.
It's not a race.
I think that's incredibly important when we talk about expectations in yourself and in other people. Just kind of, be easier on yourself, but be easier on others too. I mean,
see it from a place of like understanding. Try to be understanding rather than understood.
Right.
Try to look at it from an understanding place instead of always wanting to be understood what your expectations are. If they don't meet your expectations, try to understand why they didn't meet your expectations.
Right.
I think that's more so with two people or, people in general, right?
Yeah.
Not so much on ourselves, but my thoughts.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that expectations I've still had some trouble with this past 6 months, and I definitely need to sort of be easier on other people and maybe expect less from myself and other people at times.
Sure.
Session 5 was perfect timing. Eat and exercise to minimize anxiety and depression. And this was when Scott pretty much took over for this. And that's a good podcast. If you guys aren't eating properly and you're not exercising, go back to session number 5 or week number. I think we just did session number 5 because we had the weeks a little mixed up. But look for that one on our YouTube channel. And I think every Sunday, this should be an important part that you kind of bring up, and we'll talk about some different
I lost weight for sure this winter, just strictly from anxiety. For sure I have.
Because that can mess with your appetite.
Yeah. I don't eat.
Yeah.
I can go like 3 days without eating anything.
Yeah.
Which isn't good for me, I smoke a ton of cigarettes and don't eat anything because I'm anxious, right? And drink Monsters.
And the funny thing is we've had these, and this is the thing, we've had all these conversations. Like, we can give everyone the tools to fucking cure yourself. But we're the ones that have to do it. And
I'm still smoking. I'm still not eating.
And you're still pounding back the rock stars.
I've gone down a lot, really.
Good.
I really have gone down a lot. I'm not cranking as many a day.
Good.
And I try not to have any in the night.
Good.
There
you go.
I'm not sleeping, right? I still struggle with my sleep whether I drink it or not, right? But I really tried to
cut out everything.
Cut them out. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, my diet sucks.
So Scott and I are going to work on mine right now. And, so we're talking about we're all on the same page there, and we know that this is a place where we might as well work on it now while we're in the mood where we can take on some more stuff, right? So session 6 was stop being angry and control your mood swings. In this one, we talked about taking the 10 seconds or even the 24 hours and rather than reacting to someone that pisses you off or something that pisses you off, respond. And by responding, it means just kind of let it go for a little bit. Don't let your emotions take control of you and think it through before you act. And I tell you, I'm still having trouble with that when I'm driving.
Oh, yeah.
I get pissed off, and road rage is my probably worst thing for anger. I get really pissy with people that piss me off on the road. But that one's a good one. I think
that was a good week.
The anger, yeah, and not just anger at other people, but being angry at yourself, because they say
that's my toughie. I get pissed at myself. I as angry as I get at other people, say, or at situations, I internalize it all.
Yeah,
and that's why I struggled with self-harm for so long, is because I would get in a bar, into a bar, and someone would look at me wrong or push me around, and I just cower.
Yeah.
And I'd go home and hurt myself.
Yeah.
Show you.
Yeah.
That guy's wasted drunk, doesn't care who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm at home feeling sorry for myself.
Yeah.
I know. Beating myself up. Anger, right? Pissed at myself. Why am I not here? Why am I?
Anger's a tough one.
It's a motherfucker for sure.
It is, and they say that sort of. You get angry at yourself enough, that's sort of what feeds the depression, right? Is it's inner anger at yourself.
That was similar to me, Paulie, as well. Taking it out on yourself.
I fucking hate that that's my thing, is I take it out on me, right?
Yeah, well, that comes from high expectations too, right? Being
expecting
so much from yourself and then getting angry when you don't deliver.
Yeah.
A lot of that. So, And the mood swings, I mean, I think I've gotten a little better with the mood swings. However, same thing with look outside.
Yeah.
If it's snowing and it's negative temperatures, I'm probably not in the best mood.
Yeah.
I'll try to be there for you, but I'm probably I'm probably moody.
Leave me alone.
Yeah. However, the one thing I have noticed is I put all that shit aside when you're around. Like when I'm around my daughter or other people's kids, they just brighten my world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you watch a little toddler, that's the only thing. I think part of the reason I struggle in the winter now in my 30s is probably because I don't have a family right here. I mean, I do have a little family, and I have family here, but I don't have my own in this house that I can, take care of. And I think it's like
feel accomplished, right?
Yeah, and just
It makes the
the little smiles of the So I mean, it gets harder as you get older, and I think that's a tough thing for single people too.
Yep.
So anyways, session 7 was assertive behavior. So this is where we talk about going easier on people, but that doesn't mean letting people walk on you. Right? Yeah, and that's the balance again, right? Is instead of being angry, being assertive. So like when we talk about taking the 24-hour break when you get upset and not yelling at someone and giving them some time, you want to as respond if you're still hurt by it, respond assertively rather than angry. So that just means standing your ground and not getting angry about it, not letting your emotions take control. Don't change your tone of voice. Don't get worked up. Don't let your heart rate. Don't snap. I still snap from time to time.
Yeah.
It happens way less than it did.
Oh, yeah.
So
Progress, not perfection.
That's right. And that's when you want to speak confidently and you get more respect.
Yep.
When I think about, I've been watching a little bit of House of Cards lately. Have you watched House of Cards?
I haven't seen it. No.
Okay. Well, Claire Underwood. She's the president's wife in this show, she never gets angry. Really, she really responds. She's the definition of someone that's assertive.
Right.
And it's politics, right? So they're constantly trying to get under each other's skin.
Right.
But watching how they respond has really been interesting to see. And I know it's just a fucking show. This is what I'm talking about with TV can influence you. But watching her assertive behavior and going after what they want, but never getting really angry about it.
Right.
And always just kind of thinking it through and responding calmly. It almost pisses off the other person more.
Oh, yeah. Kill them with kindness, right? That's what people hate. They're angry. Kindness. Yeah.
I just think it's a more strategic way in a sense, but it's also a healthier way to respond.
Yeah, for sure.
The more that you get angry, the more it spikes certain things like again, we talked about adrenaline and can affect your body. So that was, do you guys have anything else to say about assertive behavior? No? Session 8 was put an end to what if thinking. So what if thinking was always a big one for me. And
it's like the definition of anxiety.
Yeah,
it's a big one for all of us now. Yeah.
What if this happened? Or what if I do that?
Always replaying different scenarios in your head.
In the future, scenarios. What if?
But let me ask you this about your what if thinking. Is it usually negative? Like 9 times out of 10, are you thinking, well, what if this happens and you're thinking about a bad outcome?
It's just any outcome.
But
just because I have fear of success and fear of failure.
Yeah,
I have a big complex when it comes. I'm scared to be successful.
So you ask yourself,
because
I have no idea. I have no idea, and I don't know how to handle that pressure of being successful. And I am scared of failing because I've just constantly failed and felt like shit.
But you
were successful in hockey though.
I was, yeah. I didn't go to the NHL, right? And that was kind of my goal. It's I won't be successful, and that's having too high of expectations. If I don't make the NHL, it was 20 years of loss.
But we talked about your definition of success too. Like your definition of success when you were younger sounds like it's changed a lot more today.
I'm not going to the NHL now. Not unless I'm a water boy.
And are you still you're okay with that? Like you're not expecting, you're not harming yourself, you're not angry at yourself.
No.
Your success is what you told me, being sober, living on your own and all that. So I mean, but the what if thinking. So when it comes to your speaking, I'm going to use an example first.
Yeah.
Is this where your fear of success becomes well, what if I become a massive speaker and what if I can't handle it? Is that what you think?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so your what if thinking is still see, what I'm trying to get at here with the what if thinking is turning it into a positive, but if you're afraid of success, you're still thinking positively and that's still scaring you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. What happens? What happens if in the next 2 months I get 25 speaking engagements booked?
And that's kind of what
anxiety on me is
boom, but you still, that's what you want,
that's
right?
What I want. That's what pays my bills.
Right.
I need those to pay my bills, but if I get them, I'm going to freak out.
That's
at this point, I've spoken for 500,000 people in 4 years. and I still get unbelievably nervous.
Of course.
I just feel North Bay. Hands are like killing me the whole time because I'm just like rubbing them together. They're full of sweat.
Yeah.
And I've done it 1,000 times before, and I'm still right now like, oh God.
Yeah.
What if they don't like me?
I know.
I have this new thing now that I kind of just started thinking about. Even if I'm a shitty speaker, they're going to go home and talk about mental health.
Yeah.
They're going to talk about, hey, we saw a shitty speaker talk about mental health tonight.
Yeah.
They're still going to talk about mental health.
Yeah.
You know?
Now it's not about you, so
it's not about me at all.
But they probably think you're a great speaker.
They probably do.
They do.
It doesn't matter if they think I'm a good speaker or not. I just want the message to be out there, right? Like about mental health. And if I'm a shitty speaker, hopefully they'll go home and talk about mental health.
Yeah.
You know? Like what not to do.
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
I think people are taking some resources from it, from my feedback at least.
Yeah. I got put on the spot. Did you guys see the video I posted last week about opening for Kenny versus Spenny?
Yeah.
So no? Okay, so I was they were at music hall, and originally I thought I was just going to go in and watch the show, and then
I saw your Snapchat.
You saw that?
Yeah,
they're pretty ridiculous.
Pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a different crowd than I'm used to. But Tony Gray, who was managing the show, came out and said I was doing the intro. So they gave me the microphone and said, "Get up on stage, introduce Kenny and Spenny," and there was a full venue there, and I thought, I haven't been on stage in a while, and all right, I got up there and I did the best I could, but it's still like compared to me, it was shit, right? It's like I fucking blew that one. I didn't walk in there,
and then you feel vulnerable after, right?
Yeah. Well, you think
people are like, "Oh man, that guy's so awesome," but internally you're like, "Fuck, I just exposed myself."
Yeah. Just got up and said, I didn't really care, mind you. I didn't have as much anxiety in that moment because it was spontaneous. It wasn't like I planned to.
Your anxiety was afterwards.
My anxiety was afterwards because that just happened, right? And then right before, I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like I don't know any of these people. They don't know I'm here. They don't know who the fuck I am. Yeah. And then you get up there and you do it, but you do the best you can, right? And it's the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then your mind takes over afterwards, but...
I just have to accept what if it happens. What if it is successful, and hopefully it will be.
I think if you make it bigger than yourself...
Yeah.
Like this, for example, as long as we know that it's about mental health, and like as long as it's not about us, we're trying to help other people.
Right.
It kind of... That releases some anxiety for me anyway, because it's like... You know, you're not just doing this for yourself. I think being selfless has some value that like takes away that fear in a sense.
Yeah, humility, right?
Yeah. What about you, buddy? What about your what if thinking? I mean, you had the what if thinking with the heart attack all fucking last week.
Yeah.
So like your what if thinking, I mean, and that's a valid one though. That's like when you have a health professional telling you that. I get that.
Really
that's
aggressive.
That's a tough one, but that's a perfect one for you to go back to if you ever wanted to and be like, okay, how do we overcome our limitations, and how do we put everything into practice to stop the what if thinkings? Like the example of what if thoughts that would have been more positive in that situation could have been like, what if my knee's better than it ever has been? What if I do a recovery and I feel like I'm 20? And like those are the what if thoughts you kind of want to put in there, right? So fucking hard.
Or it's all the opposite. Like, I'm going to screw this up, or my knee's not going to be the way it was. I'm not going to get back. I don't know. There's some of them. And like a lot of them, the same with Paulie. Like, what if, like, about success? Like, I want to be successful in, I know I have the capabilities and all that to be, but then it scares the shit out of me because I feel like I've screwed everything up in my life and I've failed at everything. That's what I'm good at.
Yeah. I know that feeling too. Right? Yeah. Because you have been successful, dude. You've been in the big show. You've been down in California on TV. Like you had that taste, right? And then,
but it's the same as him. I didn't make it. I didn't make it
to where I wanted to.
Yeah. We can all say, about one point in our life we didn't make it.
I was in the magazines. I was on the back cover. I wasn't on the front cover, which I wanted to. I never made it to the Olympia stage.
This goes back to expectations again, right? Like, and how to be grateful for. We all didn't make it in certain circumstances for a reason. We're all here doing other things, right? But everything that we wanted to make it in would have been just... everything that we would have been, we might have been successful. Dude, even if you're successful and at that top level, you might have a shitload of money. Maybe you would have overdosed on the opiates because you would have been able to afford more of them.
Think about it. If any of us were successful, then we wouldn't be sitting on this couch.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't have something else.
Wouldn't have a story.
No, not at all.
So, the next one was, I'm glad we're all here. I'm glad we all fucked up, and we're all, trying to make it better. And you know what? We'll probably fuck up again and again and again. But we're learning. I mean, at one point in time, we didn't learn from our mistakes, and now we're learning from them. And I think that's the key point.
Yeah, the big thing is humility and your ego, and just checking in and accepting it when you screwed up. And moving forward, right?
Yeah, I agree. For anyone that's listening to the audio, that's Scott playing with his race.
The Velcro.
Yeah. It's okay, buddy. I just was thinking if I'm listening to that on podcast, what's that noise in the background? Session 9 was get off the guilt and worry treadmill. So this is what you talked about. Yeah. So we do talk a bit about if you're worrying, you're in the future, and if you're feeling guilty, you're living in the past. And the only thing that matters is right here, right now, and being here. And sometimes, even sitting on this couch, I'm looking at you guys, and we're listening to each other, but then we're thinking about what we're going to say next. And I have to be like, oh yeah, like I'm in this moment right now. Like, let's just worry about what's going on and respond rather than focusing on that. So many conversations are people thinking about what they're going to say next rather than just relaxing, sitting back, and letting the other person get their point across. So,
I think that's a big one for everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Everybody, you're constantly like...
To live in the... it's very difficult for people just to live in the moment and be happy and accept,
Yeah.
And just
be there, because you can't
ground yourself and just accept and like be happy and enjoy what's going on right in front of them. You know what I mean? Like enjoy the little things, like, you with your daughter or whatever, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about the little things. They're really... The big things
are big things.
Yeah,
the little things are big things.
The little things are big things.
Because when you get older, like health problems happen, then you look back at like, oh man, like I wish,
I wish I'd spent less time thinking,
or hiding in my house.
Yeah, that's true, or less time focusing on, work or whatever, and spending it more with the people that matter.
Just silly things, right?
Like, for sure.
It really does matter.
But remember that one. That's one that always stuck with me. That if I'm feeling guilty, I'm in the past, and usually, like, I think every time I'll go back and I'll do a mental check-in, and sure enough, I'm thinking about something that isn't a part of me anymore. It's just a part of my story. Or else if I'm worried about a scenario that hasn't even happened yet. So
half the time they never do happen.
That's right.
Or never happen the way we think.
Yeah.
Or to go, it's better, right? You're like, oh man. Or
to go back to expectations.
Yeah.
You expect it because you're thinking about it, right? And it never goes the way that you expect it to go, right? Sometimes, usually better.
Yeah. That was like the MRI, right? I was so worried about it because, like, claustrophobic, and like last time I went in, you've been in them.
Yeah.
Like, coffins are like this big, and like my shoulders being compressed, so I couldn't breathe.
Yeah, those MRIs
and then,
are like,
and like I was worried. I lost like 2-3 nights sleep, like going into this one, right?
Yeah.
And then I go to it, and it was like the big open one, and like it was fine down in Stratford. And I get there, and I'm like, I don't even have to take my Ativan. This is great.
No kidding.
So there you go. I worried about nothing.
And most of it is. Yeah. Most of us worry about things that never even happen.
Yeah.
Those MRIs, though, man. Yeah, I don't like that either. I did
Go to Stratford.
Is that the big one?
Yeah,
the big one.
It's the same one
for your head too, because I was in there for my head, and that was not fun.
It's an open one, just like the States.
Okay. I'll remember that next time I need to go in for a MRI on the noggin. Session number 10: how to address obsessive, scary thoughts. So this one's a tough one for me too. These are the thoughts that like continue to come back and continue to come back and continue to come back. And that was a good one. I don't really remember the exact coping skills for that. Do you? I think it was just to put a stop sign up, was it not? Like when you're stuck in that thought, just kind of put that picture like a big red stop sign. Say I'm thinking about something. Most of the time, it's something that's out of our control.
Yeah. If it gets obsessive, though, like don't be afraid ever to reach out.
Yeah,
that's what I found. I think over the winter is that I reached out, and I would have probably died if I not reached out. Right.
Your obsessive thought was suicide, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. Which sucks, but it is what it is, right? I'm not going to judge myself about it.
So you found that. Okay, so you.
I didn't want to reach out.
Tell me a little about that, though, because this is something that's serious.
Needed to, yeah.
Because sometimes the skills that we're talking about with obsessive, scary thoughts might not work, right? Because obviously they didn't work for you.
Didn't really and I knew that I was having shitty thoughts, and then as soon as that plan started to take action, I needed to see a professional. None of my friends would I didn't want to talk to them. I didn't want to talk to you guys about it.
I know you didn't, yeah.
Fuck that.
Paulie was at my age during that time. I was like,
no, not happening. But
I know
that
man.
If there's a plan that that I need to reach out, and I'm not ashamed of that.
Yeah.
So-
So who did you reach?
That was
Yeah,
good.
to the hospital.
You went to the hospital?
Yeah, like went in,
Yeah.
was admitted for a few days.
So how did they stop the obsessive, scary thoughts? Was it just being there helped? Like, because you knew you were sick?
Talking to a psychologist, talked to a counselor.
Even though it wasn't your usual counselor?
Yeah, it sucked that it wasn't my usual counselor, but they kind of used some tools, I guess, to say, like, hey, you're safe. You're not where you used to be. Think of, put yourself in the positive light that you are in the positive light. And people do think good things about you, and you should think good things about you as well. But that's, it's about practice.
Yeah.
Do that in those moments. I might have been okay for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour or 2 hours, but then the obsessive thoughts come back, right? And then the plan's already there. So that's why I just stay there for a few days.
Good for you.
Yeah, it sucked. It's not something I'm proud of, but I am proud of it. On the other hand, that I was able to do that and not fulfill these plans that I had.
So did the thoughts just fade after time, or did
they're less and less. I can't say that they're gone completely.
Right.
Just because I'm human, right? But they're less and less intense.
So do you just what do you do now when you experience them?
Reach out a crisis center.
So you still make a phone call or whatever
if it gets so bad, I'm
Okay.
still doing like the walking, going for a mile walk, playing my guitar, coloring,
doing all the stuff that
doing those things that I feel like I need to just even snap myself out of it for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Ground myself, and I've tried to actually ground myself and then feel from my toes to my heels on the ground, and like just say, okay, well, like I'm safe, I'm on the ground, nothing around me is hurting me.
Yeah.
It's not an outside thing that's hurting me, it's the inside thing, and if I can hopefully just center to one thing inside me, then I can manage it and get through it.
Right.
It's not easy having suicidal ideation. That's
No.
for sure. It's not fun.
What
I
do
don't
you
enjoy it.
what do you describe the ideation part? Like, what does that mean to you?
Plan?
A
An
plan.
active plan of how I would like to end my life.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not going to describe it, obviously.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I think that's a little much. Yeah, but
It's a little uncensored.
yeah, it's a little maybe. Yeah, I
It's
mean,
a little rough.
we're trying to help people. We don't want to give anyone ideas.
But
Not
if
that
you do,
way.
I'd say if you do have a plan, call someone right away.
Yeah.
Because you're in the danger zone, and there's people out there that are willing to, whether that be just listen to you. Like, I think that was the thing with people at the hospital, just listen. They didn't tell me the right thing. They just listened actively and told me some healthy coping tools.
Do you think that, like, when you say having a plan, I just want to clarify this because, like, I think we all have thoughts of suicide at times. I think it's just like...
It's a lot more than just thoughts of suicide. It's like,
Yeah.
this is what I'm going to do. This is for sure going to end my life. Boom, boom, boom. I'm starting steps.
Okay.
And that's the plan.
So, to people watching, like, if someone thinks, like, oh, well, maybe I'd do it this way, like, maybe I'd do it this way, that's not necessarily a plan, but they are thinking about different
Suicidal
scenarios.
ideation, yeah.
So when it gets... So is that something to worry about, would you
I
say?
would, for
Yeah?
sure, yeah. Hell yeah.
Even if you're just thinking, like, oh, well, maybe I do it this way, or
Yeah.
maybe...
You should
Even though the
reach out.
plan's not intact.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. I should have reached out before I reached out. I know that. I should have reached out to you guys before
Yeah,
I reached
absolutely.
out, right? But again, human being who thinks I can handle it, I'll figure it out, right?
Do you think part of that's being a man?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the pressure put on?
For sure.
Okay. And what did you think that time? We talked about with Scott, if you watched last week's podcast, you had a moment where you were there was some, like, relief in the fact when you're thinking about going under for surgery that you might not wake up.
Yeah.
And that was, like, when you had that thought, what did you, like, how did you stop yourself from like, diving into that deeper?
Well, I was at the hospital, like.
So you're already,
on the
like,
bed,
yeah, you're
right?
not going to be able to do
So
it, yeah.
I didn't tell anybody because I knew, like, where that would lead me, right?
Right.
So, I don't know.
It was just a brief moment
It
kind
was
of
just
thing?
a few brief moments of weakness and just the struggles in my life, going back, replaying everything of all the negative stuff and things that I've had to deal with and overcome, and just, all the crappy things that have been done to me. And
I don't think that's weakness. I think that's just like Paulie said. I think that's just being human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it affects, like, just, I'm very sensitive. I'm an empath, so it affects me, and I hold on to that anger and hurt for a long period. I can't get rid of it. And I think it was, tired of the struggle.
Yeah, letting go is going to be a big one, I think, for all of us.
Yeah.
But
I
anyways.
hate to speed you up. But we've been on for like an hour and a half almost, and I have someone waiting.
Oh,
outside.
sorry, buddy. I'm sorry, dude.
So I get it that we gotta get
Yeah.
to it. I got a boogie. I have to.
Go ahead, brother. Yeah, I didn't realize you've been on for that long.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
Love you, man.
Yeah, we're gonna.
You
You know
good?
what? We're gonna wrap it up here, anyways. We're on like how to address. Okay.
We can keep going.
All right, Scott and I'll go. We'll go through it. We'll be done in like 5 minutes.
See you,
All right, buddy. See you, man. Love you, bud.
You good?
Yeah, me too.
Sorry, dude.
Hey, no worries.
All right, so that happens. This is real life. We'll see you next week, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, so session number 10 was how to address obsessive scary thoughts. I think that like the obsessive scary thoughts for me were kind of what we just talked about with the obsessing about suicide. So I think we can kind of jump to the next one here.
Love you, boys.
See you, bud. Did you have anything you wanted to add to obsessive scary thoughts?
No, that's not one thing I struggle with all the time. Like I don't really have too many, I guess, like scary thoughts like that.
Yeah.
So
I think that was more for Paulie, and I think you kind of addressed that one. Session 11, we did anxiety and depression, a candid dialogue about medication and alcohol. This was a good one for all of us because, and even for you, alcohol was something that, I used as a self-medication tool and technique as well as drugs, but yours was opiates, right?
Yeah.
And you doing your surgery, this would have been an interesting one for people to...
That was a tough one and a trigger and for so many different reasons, right?
Yeah,
So, I didn't want to take them because I know where it could have led me, and I know that the stress it would put on my family and friends, like knowing that.
Yeah.
But I know I had to.
What did they prescribe you?
Hydromorphs and some morphine tablets or something like that, because they didn't want to give me like Percocets or
anything that was like a little
Hydromorphs, like exactly what I was addicted to, right?
Right.
'Cause I told them that, and then so like that was a catch-22 as well because. I was honest with the doctors and told them, and because of other medication that I take to keep me safe, like I don't think they knew how to deal with it. So they didn't prescribe me really the stuff that took the pain away. So
right.
It didn't really work.
Right. Yeah.
And then they didn't prescribe me like a lot because they were worried, but at the same time, because of my size, I can handle a lot, and because of the addiction for so many years, like my tolerance for that stuff is through the roof. Like
still, eh?
Yeah.
So you think your tolerance doesn't go down over time? I don't know.
I
know. Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. But before, like when I had relapses and slips, like from back when my addictive behavior started, when you take
still have to take too many.
Well, I'd have to take like quadruple the amount just to get like it was
wow.
weird. Like I wouldn't get the same buzz or the same high that I got before, so I was chasing it and taking more and more and more.
And that's the
I'm surprised that I didn't
OD
at points, right?
Really? That's addiction, though, right?
I had chasing enough like that would like knock out a horse.
I believe that. Well, yeah, you have to.
And right? But I didn't get like it was weird.
You didn't get high off it.
Yeah, like I'd get maybe a smidgen of it and then like chase it again. And I was just like, oh my God, like what's...
And that's the addiction, right? It's constantly
chasing
that. Yeah.
It's like, why can't I get it like I used to,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a tough go.
So for us, I mean, medication in this course that we talked about is typically anti-anxiety and antidepressant, but it does come with, every medication comes with a risk, right? And especially if you have struggled with an addiction with it in the past. I mean, that must have been a tough decision for you.
It was.
But you're through it now?
And that was one of the things, like, I almost didn't want to go for surgery and thinking, like, oh, it'll just heal. I can get through this. Because I didn't want to face it. I didn't want to, like, have to deal with that or, like, go on them
and that's the worry.
Put myself at risk and make my family scared, And
that's the worry in the future, too. Right? Yeah. So we talked about the medication and alcohol. Session number 12 was the courage to change. So this was like going through the program and accepting the fact that, we are going to change. You're going to become a different person. You're going to become a more positive person because a lot of this program has to do with transforming negative thoughts to positive thoughts.
Yep.
And just focusing on the silver lining and focusing on being grateful and the goodness in every situation, or the lesson to learn, because there is a lesson in every situation, no matter how shitty it is. And to have it, and a lot of people think, well, if I change, other people won't like me and whatever. Well, if you are where you are, there might be a chance that the people you're surrounding yourself with could be potentially toxic for you anyways. It might be an idea to kind of change your circle. Or, they'll have to change.
I think both of us experience that, like, and everybody, like, you'll end up getting rid of a lot of toxic people out of your life because you're in there for the wrong reasons, or you're surrounding yourself with those people because they're like-minded, right? And they're, you know, so it's normal behavior when you're around them, right?
Yeah.
So you don't think anything different. But if you pull yourself out of it, or like other people looking in, they're just like, you know, what's wrong with these people, right? But we think it's normal.
Well, misery loves company, right? And and we tend to. I think that you and I, and even Paulie, I think that with men,
people using too, and the drugs and partying, like, you know, everybody's doing it, right? So it's normal.
Well, it feels. I think we all look for, you know, love or acceptance from people, even at a young age, and sometimes if you feel like you're the oddball out, you're dealing with depression or you're dealing with anxiety, sometimes you just look for people to accept you the way that you are. And sometimes those people can be, you know, either dealing with the same thing or end up leading you to a life of using drugs or drinking or whatever else. And it feels like you're with a family. But is that really caring? I mean, do they really care for you underneath it all? I mean,
you find out very quickly when stuff goes sideways, like, you know, when
who's there for you?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, you find out who your real friends are. And,
yeah,
you know, and it becomes very, very clear. You know, like you'll end up having a few, and like, you know, if your family's good, then you know, it's that.
Yeah, and thank goodness for having a good family and support system, and whatever that can mean different things to other people. I know that Paulie considers his family to be, you know, people that have really supported him over the years. And I know he says he has moms and dads kind of everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So like
family is not necessarily blood,
no,
right?
But I mean, you want to make sure. I think the most important question to ask yourself about the people that you surround yourself with is, if you were to become the best version of yourself and achieve all of your dreams in life, would they be happy? Would they actually genuinely be happy for you? And if you can look if you can look at someone and they're not going to try to tear you down, and they're not going to try to get jealous, they're not going to try to, they really genuinely want to build you up, that's someone.
That's a good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anyone, and those are hard people to find, believe it or not. I mean, there's a lot of people that might like to see you fail so they can talk about that shit behind your back. That was me. I mean, I had a lot of people that enjoyed watching me fuck up, and I thought, you know, they laugh, and I enjoyed making people laugh, so I kept fucking up, you know, so, you know, to a fault. And I think a lot of people get caught in that situation too. They love having the stories to tell people to put a smile on their face at their own expense.
That was a huge one for me to learn this last, like, year and a bit, was like deciphering and picking out those people that were good, and like actually, you know, when you tell them that, you know, you're pursuing something different, or you're reaching to a next level, that they are genuinely happy. Like they do, you know, or you're in a relationship and you're happy with that one, like they're genuinely happy for you. They're not trying to destroy it behind your back or whatever. You know, like that was really quite an eye opener for me.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like there was some sabotaging going on.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of sabotaging going on.
But you have to be careful with that, because it might lead your mind to think that sabotage is still happening when it might not be, right? Because you might be looking for situations that aren't there at times. So it's good that you've gone through it, but you also have to be careful not to make sure that you get paranoid from it, right?
True.
Yeah. So, okay, so now we talked about the courage to change. We're at 13. So that was time management, and we talked about a balanced life. And every time that we talk about anything in here, you'll notice that we're always talking about a balance. It seems to be the hardest thing to find in life, whether it's a balance between health and work, or love and hate even. Trying to find that balance in between things, it's really difficult.
Very difficult for a lot of people.
Because you like you said, whether it's an addiction that you chase after, we're all addicted to something. Whether it's even healthy things per se, people can be addicted to the gym and neglect family time. It's still always about balance. Too much of anything is not a good thing.
No, it's not. It
isn't. You got to find that, and that's something I think we've all struggled with, and I still do. I know for sure, but we're trying to get back into it. Time management, yes.
I still struggle with that one. It's a work in progress.
Time management's hard. It is. And then that's it, guys. So if you can go back, that's our 13 programs before. I think we've done a few weeks in between of just checking in with each other. But next week we're going to do session 14, which is how to keep stress from becoming anxiety. And session 15 the week after is getting beyond a growth spurt. And then that's the last week of, we're going to do 1 week after that, of just kind of a conclusion. That will be the end of season 1 for the podcast. I know it's drawn out. And we'll be starting season 2 in the new studio when it's complete. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Goodbye for now.